Hey, what's up, all you bad guys out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm back with another Sonic the Hedgehog Bad Guys issue review. This time it's issue number 2 titled Smash and Grab. Ian Flynn is back at it again, bringing us our favorite bad boys in the Alliance of Evil, the Legion of Doom, led by the legendary Starline, as he seeks out new power enough to rival Eggman and show the big bad boss how it's done. Let's jump in, shall we? As we see our bad guys wrecking some Eggman robots. It is fantastic. They are doing an incredible job. It's man, it's chaos, and it's all the things that you expect from some really bad dudes. It is awesome. Now, we flash back to Starline, basically going over the plan, which is to grab power cores, those things from Sonic Heroes, which imbued the speed, flight, and power characters with energy, leveling up all their attacks, giving them greater power and all that. It's just like, yo, actual game mechanics, that's what's up. Leave it to Ian Flynn to incorporate game mechanics in an actual plot related way. But Starline lies to the crew, saying that he has to make mechanisms to allow the crew to be able to harness the power cores, giving them greater strength and abilities to take down Eggman and his empire. He also notes that the other phase of his plan is to get into the egg net, which will be the way that he's able to completely scrub Mimic from Eggman's database, but also, possibly, as Zavik puts it, turn his entire fleet against him. That's Zavik's tactical mind at work. Man, this. I have to tell you, I'm loving Zavik in this series. Like, the way his mind works is fantastic. Like Ian has to be writing Zavik at all times. If Zavik shows up in something, Ian has to be writing him because Ian in this issue shows what a character like this can do, what a character like this can be. But enough filleting let's move on as we pick up with the fact that Zavik has taken control of his group while they aren't his deadly six. He makes sure that it's just like obey me, complete obedience, and we will have this mission. And Starline is in the background being like, ah, yes, I'm just using you and blah, blah, blah. And he kind of catches himself having an Eggman moment. The egotism, as he puts it, that always gets Eggman caught up in stuff and causes him to lose the battle. So he wants to be like Eggman, but he doesn't want to fall into Eggman's faults, what causes Eggman to constantly lose, which is an interesting personal battle he has to go through. He admires Eggman so much, but it's too easy to become like Eggman, short sighted and unable to see the bigger picture. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. So we continue on with the absolute destruction going on, and he goes over why each of them basically has to die at the end of this. He's just like, yeah, I have to kill all of them. Mimic, because he is far too dangerous to be on the loose, far too dangerous to be completely wiped and untrackable and all that. He has to die. Rough and Tumble, they're blunt force objects, but they are way too driven and vengeful. And they have too much of a tendency to just show up in the wrong place at the wrong time and just get in a heap of trouble. Not wrong, but at the same time, it's just like, I think you're over exaggerating their abilities. Although this issue might prove me wrong. And then there's Zavik, who, is the most dangerous person there. Because of his powers, because of his strength, like, everything about Zavik is dangerous. Just not in the games, is all. But, like anything else, Zavik is a force to be reckoned with. He really is, in and of itself, especially with his crew, deadly for a reason. So, as the doors slam shut as the alarms sound, Zavik has Tumble send Ruff and Mimic over the wall. Ruff sends out his gas to smokescreen things so that Mimic can transform, infiltrate everything, and take out many of the guards, and Zavik then uses his powers to open the magnetic lock and get everyone in. So it's just like, these guys are such a well organized machine. But that's the thing about Ian. On multiple occasions, he has written stories for villain teams, and his stories for villain teams are always fantastic. I'm sorry, always fantastic. Because there was this story back in the Archie days, Scourge Breakout, villainous team, the Destructics, and the effort, the the personality he gave them. He went in on those characters, and I feel that he's channeling that here. That just ability to show that despite the fact that they're bad guys, there is a deeper connection that can be formed between all of them if given the chance and with the right kind of writing. And this moment sums it up perfectly because there's a moment in which, Zavik and Starline have a clash of ideals, but it's a very civil discussion because they're not barbarians, but they're I mean, they're bad guys, but this this conversation feels very reminiscent. If you've ever watched Castlevania and you've watched the third season, there's this moment between, one of the main villains, Isaac, who's all about wiping out humanity, and this guy called the Captain, who just speaks his piece, and it's the most engaging discussion ever. And I feel that here, where it's just two guys talking, but what they're talking about is engaging. And the only thing that could make this better is voice acting. Honestly, give me voice actors for this, and it would be fantastic. Because Zavik talks about the fact that he doesn't find the reliance in machines to be beneficial. He likes soldiers, people, men, forces to command because they can be flexible, they can work around things, they have passion, they have drive, they can be, clever, they can work around things. Robots tend to be just tools. A strong warrior can always overcome odds, whereas a robot won't push themselves. They'll push themselves as far as they're programmed to push themselves. But Starline finds that whereas you can have hundreds of men, you can have thousands of robots. They obey your every whim, every command. But as he goes on his rant, he starts to kind of get into his feelings towards Eggman. And Zavik doesn't judge him for this, but he tries to get Starline to look at himself not as an underling, not as someone who is beholden to Eggman, not as a fanboy, but as a person in of his own right, saying he's not going to take you back. That is not Eggman. He's not a forgiving man. Starline reinforces it's just like I'm in this for revenge, but it also feels like he has mixed feelings about all this. He doesn't want to look at how misguided this effort to overcome everything and to show Eggman the error of where he went wrong. We all know that's not how that'll play out. But Starline's just so lost within his own, melancholy of being rejected by his idol. He's too short-sighted. The very thing that Eggman that he said Eggman was being. And Zavik tries to pull him out of that, despite the fact that he knows that Starline is playing him. He knows. We saw that last issue. He's fully aware of that. But he tries to talk Starline up, saying, you don't need that guy. You do not need that person. You had a solid plan, And it wasn't wrong that you tried to swerve around Eggman's, short-sighted nature. There was nothing wrong with that. You have potential. You have potential to be something great. You had an ingenious idea. Yeah, it failed, but you have the capacity to work around that, to be better, try to be better, surpass him. And it's just like, that is such a genuine and uplifting moment. And Starline takes it to heart, because why not? He never thought of that before, but yeah, he could be a villain in of his own right. He's showing that right now by basically commanding this entire force from the shadows. And it's just like, is Zavik setting him up for a failure? Probably, but at the same time, it's not like he's wrong. It's not like he's wrong to tell Starline this. To be his own man, not stand within the shadow of someone else, but to learn from his shortcomings and be something better. Like, yo, that is some deep stuff right there. I applaud this moment, but we switch back over into the plan where they have Mimic try to, distract the cameras, make it look like Sonic and his crew were the ones who raided things, only for them to come in contact with this massive T-Rex Badnik, which looks familiar. I can't remember what game it's from, but unfortunately Zavik can control this thing because of the nature of what it's guarding with the, power matrices, the energy cores, and all of that. But Rough and Tumble are just like, so Zavik can't do anything. Mimic can't do anything. Starline can't do anything. I guess it's up to us. And they just go running in. Like, no hesitation, no forethought. They just, Tumble just tosses Ruff into the robot's mouth with their grand stink bomber slam. And they completely decimate the robot in a matter of seconds. And it's just like, dude, that was awesome. That was literally amazing. And everyone's just taken aback by it. It's just like, wow, that was really impressive. And I'm just like, yeah, it really was. And it's one of those moments that just goes to show that, yeah, these guys are more adept than your average mook. There was a reason they were able to take over an entire town. Because ultimately they are a threat. And that's something that really needed to be enforced. Yeah, these people are credible threats. Yeah, they were taken down by the good guys, but it took people who were on another level in order to take these guys down. To ordinary people in another setting, these guys are a force to be reckoned with. And I love that thought process. Very fantastic. But, Starline edits the footage. Rough, Tumble, and Mimic get all the power cores. Zavik powers himself up, which makes me wonder if he kind of caught on that Starline was lying about needing some form of device from Starline to harness this power. But they roll around along with the plan, and they bash in one of the doors to make it seem like Sonic was the one who infiltrated things, but Eggman immediately catches on to everything. He's just like, yeah, no. Nothing about this adds up. Sonic just showing off during this moment with lots of other footage cut out, that makes no sense. Why, yeah, and Orbot's just like, well, it probably Tails. Yeah, no, Tails, that does, that's not something that Tails would do. He wouldn't be that sloppy, which I'm just like, did Eggman just give Tails a compliment? And it's something that that Ian always had Eggman do in the original Archie comics, also in the reboot and all that. He's been fighting these people for so long. He knows how they work, and this is not how they work. And I love that attention to detail that Eggman immediately catches on that it's just like, yeah, something's not right here. And when I find out what's going on, so I'm gonna fuck up someone's day, basically. And it's just like that. That's great. That's beautiful. That's fantastic. And Starline continues on his work, and he makes something special, something specific, and that is something that we've already kind of seen. If you've been reading the main comic, Sonic the Hedgehog issue number 33. And this was pointed out to me by one user called Lasbro Brony, who pointed out to me that this mysterious figure shows up and is able to use all the abilities we see Starline use here: speed, flight, well, great jumping ability, and power. Switching between these colors, switching between all the energy cores. And we get to see that Starline had created something called the Tri-Core, which is able to imbue him with all these powers. And Lasbro Brony pointed out to me that cloaked figure in Sonic the Hedgehog number 33, which, spoilers, but at the same time, I don't know, it's like you should have read this by now. But that same figure not only had all of those abilities, but was also sporting heels with spurs on them. And I didn't catch that. It was in one panel, and I didn't catch that. And it was pointed out to me, and I'm just like, yo, that is fantastic. That's amazing. And to see it developing here, it really does show the cohesion between the two writers. Evan Stanley's writing one book, Ian Flint's writing another, and they've managed to meet each other in the middle with the same events kind of coalescing to a certain degree. And it's just like, yo, that's fantastic. You don't have to read this book, but you can in order to get some backstory about this new ability that Starline has gotten. And it's just like, that's fantastic. That's the kind of stuff you never saw with, the earlier writers before the Ian Flynn era. And that's why I'm always just giving this constant string of props to Ian Flynn and the world that he's crafted in terms of Sonic lore, because he backs this cohesion. He's always willing to work with people and use pre-existing ideas and use other people's ideas, or work with other people's ideas that they've brought in, and he'll help them out to develop their own story. And it's just like, it shows that these two people are working closely enough to make sure things fit. And it's fantastic. The writing here was fabulous. Showing off how capable these guys can be, fabulous. Phenomenal. I loved this issue. I'm sorry if you didn't, but this is the kind of stuff I love to see from Ian, because it really does show how deep his writing chops go. And I can't wait to see more. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you feel about Starline, Zavik, Ruff, Tumble, Mimic? Who was your favorite? Did you not enjoy the fact that we were basically giving them a moment to shine? What do you think about this new power that Starline has gained to replace his Warp Topaz? Do you miss the Warp Topaz? Or are you happy to see the power cores used in such an interesting way? And how do you feel about the fact that this correlates with Sonic the Hedgehog issue number 33? Chow races and Badnik bases, which, I'm so flabbergasted because of this connection. I wasn't expecting anything to line up with anything else, and I'm so happy to see it. You love to see it. But again, comment section below, like, dislike, give me whatever you feel this video deserves, but subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on more Sonic the Hedgehog and more bad guys. Until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.